Hello, quilting friends. It is Tuesday. It is autumn. I am home. Could today be any more perfect? I have a Diet Dr. Pepper because I already finished my tea. Life is just delightful. So, how are things in your world? Are you quilting? Are you enjoying the weather? Are you getting outside? Are you taking care of yourself? Uh, so I have so much that's happened and even more. It's a very busy time for me, which is great because I have some times that aren't so busy. And I think I do better when I'm very, very busy. So I am teaching every weekend from now till Thanksgiving. And that means I'm away from home for 2 to 5 days each week. So I will be home on Tuesdays, but it's just a very busy time between now and Thanksgiving. And my hair is driving me nuts today. Sorry. So what is new with me? Let me come check the chat to see, say hi, let me know you're here. One thing that's new with me is I got new glasses yesterday, and they're new frames and new prescription. Now, it's another pair of yummy Betsy Johnson frames. I love Betsy Johnson. There was a pair I liked better, but they had another zero on the cost of the lenses. I'm on the cost of the frames, so we didn't like them that much. But the biggest difference is my lowest prescription here because these are multifocal. And if I walk, the ground is in the wrong place. So I'm going to be trying not to fall for the next couple of days. And then my husband and I went to the movies last night. And there are sloped floors and it's dark. It was really interesting walking through the movies. But it worked. Let's see. Hello, Carol. I'm glad you're here. It's good to see you. Our local movie theater does like $5 Mystery Mondays sometimes. And the mystery movie last night, and these are usually pre-release movies to get the buzz going. And so I will follow the spirit of the law and tell you about the movie. The movie was Christy, which is, what's her name? Sydney Sweeney was the actress in it, and she's apparently really pretty. I don't know anything about Sydney Sweeney. I'm very old. I also don't know anything about Christy, who's a real person. She was a female boxer from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and it just was a picture of a story of her life. And I was there with 4 men. It was my husband, a couple of his coworkers, and me at the movies. And they were all like, "Oh, wow, we thought this was going to be a Rocky movie." I'm like, "Nope, domestic abuse." I could see they really put it in there. So if that's something you would not want to see, don't go see it. If there's something you do want to see, it's really well done. And this beautiful woman turned herself into someone else. And I think it was a really good movie. It was really well acted. And they definitely put in pieces in there showing the monster for who he was early. And I think a woman's going to watch it differently than a man's going to watch it because the guys are like, "Oh, we're waiting for Rocky." I'm like, wasn't waiting for Rocky. I could see where this was going. But again, women and men see things differently. So it wasn't a feel-good movie, but it was a very good movie. So I have that going on. I get to try it all over again tonight because I think my husband has free tickets through AARP. Yes, I'm married to an old man, to go see the Bruce Springsteen movie. So I'm going to see if I can not fall down in the movie theater again, and hang out with a bunch of AARPers. And I'd say they were old folks, but they're me. So that's the way it is. But new glasses, trying not to fall. Other than that, I see beautifully. It is wonderful that my eyes aren't tired at night. Such a difference. Just have to get used to walking. So cross that off the list. Last weekend, I was teaching at Adirondack Quilts in Glens Falls. And I told you I'm teaching every weekend, gone from 2 to 5 days every week, from now till Thanksgiving. Last week was at Glens Falls, which is north of me. And it was a beautiful weekend. My husband came with me, so he got to walk around. He went to like a farmer's market. He went to Cooper's Cave. He got to check out some stuff in the area. And I got some company, and I got a driver, which was lovely. The hard thing about teaching for me is I meet all my new best friends, and then I leave them. And what I wonder is, why can't they live next door? Because I meet all of these fabulous quilters, and then they don't live next door, and then it's really a problem for me. So I met like Donna and Wendy and Bonnie I got to see again. And I hate saying names because I know I'm going to forget some, but we just had such a fabulous time and all new friends and lots of quilting excitement. And I hope I get to see them all again soon. So that was going on. I'm also doing a lot of online classes, some private lessons, some online classes, some for shops, for guilds, things like that. So that's me in my kitchen. I do, when I'm doing an online class, I make sure that I have a better angle, that you're not looking the camera up my nose, and that I have a better backdrop. But yeah, I'm doing a lot of that. I'm on my way to Bits and Pieces, which is in New Hampshire. I leave tomorrow, and then I'll be back Sunday night, Monday sometime. Whenever possible, I like to drive home the night after an event, so I get a full day at home to recover, instead of I like to sleep in the day after an event and have that day of recovery, which won't necessarily happen. But anyway, driving home at night, if it's less than 4 hours, is usually my goal. So I will get to meet all my new best friends in New Hampshire and wish I could bring them home. It's a problem, but it's a good problem to have, just to have your friends spread out all over the place. So what is new? What did I get that was new? I got a couple things. I got some patterns in the mail that I bought. I mean, it was intentional. So last summer, when I was at Bits and Pieces, when I was at Primitive Gatherings in Wisconsin, I saw this granny square quilt, and I've seen this online, and I was fascinated by it. I'm like, I'm just going to buy it because I like to support pattern designers. So the pattern designer, who I don't know, is Brittany Lloyd, but her work fascinates me. So I have this granny square quilt pattern, and the squares are not 2.5 inches in this, but since I have a plethora of 2.5 inch squares, my blocks will be made from 2.5 inch squares. So, and this is an old pattern, like I got it last summer. So why am I telling you that? Because I got more in the mail from the same designer, because she had a new pattern release going on, and it is petite plaid. Is that fabulous, or is that me? That's just fabulous, isn't it? And I had to have it. Now I realize there's like homework involved, like color homework, because I have to figure out, there's a background, 3 colors, A, B, and C, and then like 3 tones of each, because whenever 2 of these cross versus 1 of these plus 1 of these cross, I've got to go do a bunch of color homework and see. But that is just so awesome. And while I was paying shipping, I got her original upscale plaid quilt, which is just bigger pieces. I think that's also awesome. And then I bought Getaway, because look at all the place for ribbon candy on that. It's a 2-color quilt, but I have to make it. So it has, hair in my mouth. It has a couple different settings on the back and a couple different sizes. So I can make crib, throw, twin, queen, or king. I always like a nice throw, 2 yards and 2 yards. So I think this I might have to play with sometime. So maybe in my hotel room sewing or something, or as a reward, I get to start this. Carol, the plaid quilt, aren't they awesome? Wait, that's the back. Here's the front. And I should take them out of the packages for you, but I didn't. But petite plaid and upscale plaid. And this is Brittany Lloyd. And it is Lo and Behold Stitchery. Let's see, Lo and Behold. It looks like that. So I just went to her website and bought these because I'm a fan. And we'll see if and when I ever make these. Let's see, Janet. Book recommendations. I'm always good for book recommendations. I keep spreadsheets. Sorry, having a hot flash. I keep spreadsheets of my of the book series that I've read. So it's really easy for me to just say, I've read all these series. I'm in process of these series. And then I also have lists of other series to dig into, plus standalone books. The series I'm reading right now is, I think it's called Leap by Grumley. And bear with me, it's actually really good. So it's like Tom Clancy, Jack Ryan type geopolitical espionage type of stuff. But there are dolphins, and there's technology that you can talk to dolphins. But then the government wants to get involved and they use the dolphins and blah, blah, blah. And that same technology can let you talk to gorillas. So, but then the gorillas and the dolphins start talking. But then you discover that there is an alien arc. Really, it works. It really does. Just go along with it. There's an alien arc from somewhere, sometime, hasn't been divulged, that has a bunch of embryos and seeds, and it has this medium in it that makes things grow well, and it has a healing power. So yeah, if you're willing to go along with, let's talk to dolphins, let's talk to gorillas, let's deal with Tom Clancy, Jack Ryan-ish, international intrigue. It's a really fun series, and it is read by Scott Brick, who is one of my top 5 audiobook readers. And I think that's how I found the series, is sometimes like I need a book. I want something I know I'm going to like. What is Scott Brick reading? And I think this was free on Audible, I think. But Grumley. So Madeline, hi Madeline. Carol, you want to do a plaid quilt? Yeah. So okay, off books. On to plaid quilts. I am in love with the gingham quilts. I've made gingham quilts, which is like 3 colors woven. Lori Holt has patterns in one of her Farm Girl Vintage books that I've done. I know that they do them at primitive gatherings. They have a different gingham pattern, like black, white, gray. I've done red, pink, white. And I'd love to do more. But this plaid just really, really strikes me, and I had to do it. And Janet, that's a lot going on at once, and it's good. For those of back when I was pregnant with my daughter 36 years ago, 35, 36 years ago, there was a new series out called Outlander. And I was on bed rest for a lot of the pregnancy. And I remember reading the first book when it came out. It came out in 1990 because I was on bed rest reading the book. So people who started watching Outlander on Stars, they're like, she needs to write faster. I'm like, you don't have 30 years into this series. I do. I've been here since the ground floor. And I'm like, oh my word, it's historical fiction, and it's Scottish, which I didn't know much about. And it's lovely. And it's time travel. No, really go with it. And so, if you're willing to suspend reality and go along for the ride, it's pretty awesome. And I love that I get to dive into that. And I think there's 6 or 8 books in it. Now I'm going to have to look it up. Audible. Leap. So let me go through. The series is called Breakthrough by Michael Grumley. And they're in my library, but are they free? I'm not sure. Anyway, the first book is called Breakthrough, and there are 6 books, and I am listening to either number 4 or number 5. I'll have to find my phone. I'm either on Ripple or Ripple or Mosaic, and then I'll buy Echo if I don't have it. So anyway, there's 6 books. And the publisher's summary says, one of the greatest breakthroughs in human history, a secret that was never supposed to be found, and a crisis that cannot be stopped. Deep in the Caribbean Sea, a nuclear submarine is forced to suddenly abort its mission under mysterious circumstances. Strange facts begin to emerge that lead to naval investigator John Clay. Leads him to a small group of marine biologists who are quietly on the verge of making history. With the help of a powerful computer system, Allison Shaw and her team are preparing to translate the first two-way conversation with the planet's second smartest species, and on and on. But to make matters worse, someone from the inside is trying to stop them. Now time is running out, and our understanding of the world is about to change forever. So let's see. There's 7. It says there's 7 books in the series, but I'm only seeing 6 on Audible. The last Echo was published. I'm seeing release date of 21 and a release date of 25. And then the first book was released in 19. these are all on audio. So that's what I got about the series. I'm kind of having fun with it. Let's see, Janet, you love the plaid too. You'll pull your hair out choosing the color. I might have entire lines of solid fabrics stored in one of my guest bedrooms. So I'm going to go up there and do like black, light gray, dark gray, 3 blues, 3 reds. I'll do something like that. Whenever I go to pick colors on a new quilt, I usually pick red, white, and blue, or some variation thereof, because there's always a need for a patriotic quilt here in the States for our veterans, for police officers, whatever. So I think I'll pick something simple like that and go through 3 reds, 3 blues, 3 whatevers. So I'll figure it out. Outlander is great. 9 books that are long. They kept me busy for a long time. You can't wait till number 10. Yeah, I'm 36 years into this series. I'm just wishing her health and longevity to keep it going. So let's see, Diana. Hi, everyone. Jeanette, you just finished Boo by Renee Gutteridge. It was great. The first of a series of 3 books. Writing it down. Boo, Renee Gutteridge. Writing it down. I just bought another, what was the witch series? The Book of Souls or something like that. I just bought like the 4th book in that series because I had a coupon at Audible. Let's see, a chilly day for Nevada. Yeah, we're not, the low is 28 degrees here, but we're at 50 now, 55, so that's not bad. But we're warm inside quilting. And Diana, you have a big trunk or treat at work tonight. I'm going to be quilting on Halloween. I'm going to be teaching quilting in New Hampshire at Bits and Pieces. And I've been teaching at the shop for 16 plus years. Okay, like 18 years. And I've been friends with the owners for a really long time. And she's a Halloween girl. So I'm going to be in her shop on Halloween weekend. So that's going to be a party. I don't have a costume, but I might have to come up with something. But enjoy your trunk or treat. That'll be fun. Okay, so books, quilts. What else do I have? So I said I got the Lo and Behold patterns. I got my new box as well from Primitive Gatherings. I subscribed to the Primitive Gatherings cotton box. They also have a wool box. And this is what showed up in the box. I got like this, I got this, I got this, and it was really scary because I see this big jelly roll and I see this in there. And I'm like, oh my word. And my husband was watching me open the box. And he was trying to figure out what the look of sheer terror on my face was. Can you see this pattern? Is this what they want us to make out of that? No, fortunately, it's just a notebook with this cover, but he doesn't understand that this means English paper piecing, 1.5 million little pieces, and I'm not going to live long enough to finish that. But the pattern she sent was called Allspice for it, and this is from Primitive Gatherings, so that goes on the list. I also bought a panel. Where's the panel? Panel, did it fall? Yes. So I have a 4-month-old grandson who's into eating books, and they had some really fun panels at Adirondack Quilts, and my husband was there, so he came in to help me pick them. So this is a book of opposites, black and white, left and right. An elephant is big. Fish swim in the ocean. So anyway, these are always fun to see how they come out because they're printed weird. They're printed because they're not printed next to each other because you have to assemble the book. So a fire is warm, snowflakes are cold. I showed you the elephant was big and tiny, and ants are tiny. So anyway, I'll be making that for Elijah for Christmas. He'll still be eating books by then, I'm sure. And then I was at my guild last week. It was last Wednesday night. And we're doing a block of the month from Pat Speth. She wrote several books called Nickel Quilts. I might have them all. I might have made a bunch of those quilts. And that is cutting your scraps into 5-inch squares. And then all of her quilts are made based on a 5-inch square. Now, some of them she trims down to 4.5 inches, but this was our first block. So this was 4.5 inches and everything else was 5 inches sewn together to make this. But I really had fun doing it. So I needed to make one block to put away for my block of the month. But like I said, I make red, white, and blue quilts whenever I try something new because there's always a need for a red, white, and blue quilt. And I have scraps. Oh, but wait, there's more. Oh, but wait, there's more. So I want to make 21 blocks, one to put aside for the block of the month. And then I came up with just a simple layout and knocked something on the floor. Let me find it. Quilt. Are we loading? Yes. Hold on, got to show you something. It's loading. I reboot my computer before I talk to you because I like to make sure there's no lag on my computer. Let me share screen, window, this one. Are we going to share? We're going to share? Apparently not. There we are. So I just put together a setting for 20 12-inch blocks and sashing. So this quilt is, I think it's 4. It's either 4 or 6-inch borders. How big are the borders on this one? Those are 6-inch borders, and the quilt is 70 by 84 inches. So I'm going to try to make 20 blocks and come up with that quilt. And then I can use that as a charity quilt. Well, hello, Abby. It's good to see you. So yeah, red, white, and blue. I have a lot of blue. I have a lot of white. I have a lot of everything. I don't have a lot of yellow or purple, and actually not as much red as I would like, but that's why there's just a pop of red in here. So yeah, tons of blue. I also have tons of green. My next quilt might be green. Let's see. Oh, wait, there's more. And now I have another quilt. What is going on? There we go. Yeah, so I will have another quilt, but I'm only like 7 blocks in. And oh no, you're late. 20 lashes with a wet noodle. So I'm glad you're here, Patty. Hello. So those are some of the new things I got. So Primitive Gatherings, Guild, the panel, and from Lo and Behold. Okay, we can cross that off. Things I have finished. Now, I told you last week that I was playing with Ravelry for all my knitting projects, and there isn't anything gold standard like that in quilting. There's some different apps, but there's not like Ravelry is the place to go for knitting. So I've been playing around. I'm looking for free software. You know, my daughter's a software developer. Do you think she'd write me something? No. Ungrateful child she is. And she's busy with a new baby and a job. I came up with, let's share my screen. Where is it? No. Let's try again. Why is screen sharing not allowed? Let's see if that works better. Here it is. Got it. I'm like, screen sharing better be allowed because I own the program. Okay, so I made this whiteboard design in Canva, and I put up some of the quilts I'm working on. So I have Snowball Fight, and I'm doing that as a leader ender, and that's in my Snowman Gatherings book. So I just have the book there, and then when I click on the book, it'll open up. It probably didn't show you that, but it does go back to open up my I have hot links in there, so it goes right to the website. Then I have the allspice pattern from the Primitive Gatherings box. Island hopping, Mystery 50. Is anyone doing Mystery 50? The second one's about to launch, so I'm in on the second one. We'll see what happens. That's supposed to come out in November. Dashing, that is a quilt that I started at Primitive Gatherings Retreat last summer, and it was a king size with 1.5 million little blocks, but my daughter-in-law wants one, but she doesn't want king size, so I only have to make half of it. Then I have the Land of Opposites, the fabric book, the Color Me Happy block of the month, and then the Town Square quilt. And as I keep starting new projects, I'll just start putting them in here, just to try to keep me accountable so I can say, oh yeah, I was working on that. Because I lost my note card. How terrible is that? Other things that I have finished, let me go to here. No, that's not the right page. So things I have finished, I put over in my blog. Let me come over here, share page, and it's a little behind. Where's my blog? Okay, talk amongst yourselves. Did it show up? No. Okay, we're going to cancel that. Stop. Patty, is Canva an app? Yes, but I use it on my desktop. So I do all my graphic designs in there. It's just canva.com. You can get a free account. I don't know if the sheets are in there on a free account because this is a Google sheet, because I have a paid account because I use it a lot. But that's what Canva is. It's just canva.com, Canva. Okay, let's try this again and see if I can find what I was going to show you. Okay, computer, start playing nice. I rebooted and everything, so I don't know why it's being so mean. There it is. No. Yes. Now I can share if it'll let me. Okay, so I put things I finished in an app. So last year in color blocks, I had the sky is fun pattern of acorns, and then I had a girlfriend who had a birthday, so I made her an acorn pouch. She knows about it. She might be getting in the mail today. I was supposed to see her at Guild, but she didn't come for good reason. So I made just a little zippy pouch there. I also, last week, I made candy corn dishcloths to send to the mothers, my mother and my mother-in-law, and that's hilarious. So those candy corn dishcloths were so funny. I'd mailed them to each mother, my mother and my mother-in-law, and I got a thank you note, a thank you text on Saturday, I think, from my father-in-law saying, thank you for the Halloween gift. And I'm like, happy dishwashing. Because I could picture my mother-in-law thinking she should treasure it and hang it on the wall. I called my mom, and she wasn't quite sure what the word for candy corn was and didn't really know it was a dishcloth, but I clued her in. And then my sister texted me a few days later saying it's under the plant on her coffee table. But anyway, they got happy mail, and what they do with it, they can burn it for all I care. If it made them happy, that's all that matters. Another thing I have going on projects is I'm making hats because I have a huge box of maybe 30 balls of yarn that I want to get rid of. And I'm knitting hats for charity. My church does a homeless mission. So I took the first finished hat in, and then I bought a bunch of needles to cast on a bunch of hats and do the hard part, the cast on and the ribbing. And then I'm sending them home my idea was to send it home with kids at church who wanted to learn how to knit. So when you teach a kid to knit, you go in through the front door, once around the back, peek through the window, and off jumps Jack. Well, one of the moms at church took a burgundy hat home, so we'll see how far she gets. And her instructions are, when you have a problem, we'll talk, or bring it back to me and then I'll finish the shaping on the top. But I'm now starting a second one. And my charm for the rose says mischief managed. It's one of my Harry Potter knitting row charms. So I think that's some of the stuff I'm making. I didn't put the finished pouch on my blog yet, but I mean the finished hat, but I will. Guild block of the month I did. Okay, I did that. And then the last one, sorry, still working on the new glasses. I have an autoimmune disease that can affect the way that I breathe. It can affect my trachea and my lungs. And I've never really bothered much with it because it doesn't. My autoimmune disease hasn't hit there. It's hit many other places. But when I got COVID a couple of years, I met a fabulous pulmonologist because I was sick for so long and we couldn't figure out what was going on. So I saw him a couple of weeks ago, and maybe 2 months ago, and he said, you should go and just have all the tests run so we can see what's going on just at normal. Well, I got COVID that week, so I'm just finishing up all the lung tests right now. And I'm sure everything's fine. And if it's not, it's just residual from a recent COVID infection. I don't think there's any problems. But I went for a CAT scan yesterday on my lungs, and I had tons of scans and everything because my lungs were a mess and I couldn't breathe in all of 2023. And I remember every time I went there to get a CAT scan, they would take a deep breath and hold. I'm like, lady, if I could take a deep breath, I wouldn't be here. And I told my husband, I remember peeing in CAT scan machines just because I was coughing so hard. Take a deep breath, and then I'm an older woman. I've had children. Things get a little messy when you have pneumonia and COVID and all of that stuff. So it was such a pleasure to have a CAT scan. And I was joking with the radiologist. I'm like, finally, someone asked me to do something that I can do or when I can do it. So here's 2 thumbs up on routine tests because they say, take a deep breath and hold on a day that I can take a deep breath and hold. It's pretty awesome. So yeah, that's all that's been going on in my life. I'm not really worried about anything. Got too much sewing to do. Got too much work to do, but it's all work I love. And I enjoy being busy. So life is pretty great. I hope life is pretty great for you too, and that you're keeping busy. And, join a guild and, have some fun with that. Pick up some panels and make a baby book if you have little book eaters in your life. Teach a skill to someone else, whatever you enjoy doing. So that's what's going on in my life. So tomorrow I'll be driving up to Bits and Pieces in Pelham, New Hampshire, which is like 30 miles from Boston. And I'll be teaching there 2 classes a day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then when I get home, I'll be home Monday, Tuesday, and then leave again to go to Poconos, I think is the next one. Pocono Sew and Back to teach 2 classes a day on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and drive home to be home for a few days, and then drive to Syracuse to Calico Gals to teach some advanced ruler work on long arms. And then I'm driving home to be home for a few days to go back to Bits and Pieces for the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 2 classes a day, and it might even be longer. So busy times. And I'm going to blink and it's going to be Thanksgiving. Let's see, Joyce, happy Tuesday. It is a happy Tuesday. And Diana, your guild is teaching us to make a kaleidoscope quilt. Oh, how fun. Are you piecing it, or is it like, what do they call it? A 1-block wonder where you're using a print, like a print like is in the back of this quilt and it all looks different colors when you cut it out of the same print. So guilds are fun. Let's see. Be safe on the road. I've got a lot of miles ahead of me, but I live in the middle of all those places and I have a heated car seat and I have good books on tape series. They're books on phone. And now that I see my phone, I can figure out what book I'm on. So I'm on Mosaic, whatever book that is. Such a busy lady. I wouldn't do it if it wasn't fun. I knew I was going to have to retire for health reasons. I've known that for 15 years. When COVID hit, I'm like, that's it. I'm retired. And then when I got sick, I really retired. And then the fact that I'm able to go teach again is such a blessing. So every day is a beautiful day for me. And see, Diana is making a one block wonder where you use one print only. Ooh, of a butterfly fabric. That would be really pretty. Um, and some other people are using the panels, 6 panels, and then one to show the original fabric. Yeah, those are fun. I don't do that's not one I've experimented a lot with because I lack patience in some ways, which is why I nearly needed to be resuscitated after I thought my project from the cotton box was to hand piece this out of this. But no, it's just a notebook that Primitive Gatherings has a series of notebooks that have antique quilts from her collection, and they're either blank lined or gridded inside. Oh, it is beautiful to be back to teaching. Thank you. A lot of local, because this is New York, Pennsylvania, New England. So I'm in the middle of all of that, being around New York City where I live. Um, and familiar roads. But yes, I will be careful. It is such a blessing to be back teaching. It was a surprise that I never expected to have. I didn't expect to be back in the classroom. I thought my health is not stellar. I don't walk well. I have some health challenges, but the fact that I can still do what I love and people don't mind that I sit down or might need help picking things up, it's just my life is beautiful. So for being sick and having some health problems, my life is better than most people who are healthy. So I have nothing to complain about. And did I mention I have a 4-month-old grandson plus 3 older ones and another one on the way? Life is just too beautiful in Debbie's world. So I hope it is in your world too. And the biggest challenge I have is not falling down when I go to change my laundry, which I have to do now because my bottom lens is different and the floor is in the wrong place when I walk. So I will be back again on Tuesday next week telling you what I finished, not much, what I bought, probably a lot, and what else is new in Debbie's world. So keep following me online. I'll show you finished pictures of what I'm making, and stay in touch. I want to see what you're doing and find out what's new in your world. So, Carol, life is a beautiful thing. Yes, I hold on to it tightly because it's a beautiful. I'm a gem, yeah, but I'm probably not I probably don't have the cut and clarity of a top gem. I'm just kind of like the Walmart version of a gem. I have my engagement ring is from Sam's. So I know about low rate diamonds because I have one, but nearly 40 years later, still married and happy. I guess the diamond worked. So I'm a Walmart gem. But thanks for being around and being my people. I will see you again next Tuesday, 2:30 New York time. And until then, take care of yourselves, take care of each other,